Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome to Fighting Illini Live, episode 19. We got some good topics tonight. As always, it's certainly the dry season of college football, right? Because the season is now right around the corner, but it's still not quite here. So, not quite getting as many recruiting news. The transfer news is pretty much over, things like that. But we always find something interesting going on with Illini football to talk about. We're going to be talking about the college football 26 ratings. The game officially comes out tomorrow. It's already out if you have early access, which I do not. I'm too poor. And then we'll also be talking about our sixth opponent preview. We're going to be talking about the Purdue Boilermakers, a little less intense than the last couple, probably. Of course, tonight's episode is brought to you on the Voice of College Football Network. So before we get into it tonight, here is a word from our CEO, Mark Rogers.
You can make a difference here at the Voice of College Football. Use the Amazon link. Financially contribute to the Voice of College Football without spending a penny. Same shopping experience. It's easy. Go to any video on any channel. Go to the description section and grab the link right next to the capital letters that say Amazon. Use that link and Amazon will instantaneously convert to your account, settings, history, everything intact, just like whatever link you use right now. No difference. Pay no attention to the product that you see right there. Just go search what you want. Don't forget the Amazon link. Thank you for your support. Sincerely, the Voice of College Football.
I do want to mention before we get into those two topics tonight, two things really I want to get to before we get out of this intro. First of all, last week, the USC preview video that I put out did very well. It reached a lot of USC fans as well. I did say in that video that, because I was talking about the 2008 Rose Bowl. So I did say, and I don't know why I said it, no, he wasn't there, but I said that Reggie Bush was on that 2008 Rose Bowl team for USC. That is not true. As people pointed out in the comments, I do appreciate that. Always correct me if I mess up because, man, I'm yapping about him 30 minutes a week. I'm definitely going to mess up stuff every now and again, especially when it's about these other teams that we're doing these opponent previews on. So, yeah, he declared for the NFL draft after the 2005 season. So that was not correct. I know that wasn't correct. In my defense, I was 6 years old when Illinois was in that Rose Bowl. So I was not really conscious of college football at that time, but I did want to point that out if anyone's going to go back, watch last week's episode or just at USC, that is not true. But the comments will tell you that as well. Appreciate y'all in the comments. Basketball news to talk about before we start as well. Not enough to get a full segment out of it, but did want to mention two things, both that I saw today. First of all, Kevin Kruger, former head coach at UNLV, is joining the Illinois coaching staff. He was his position will be assistant to the head coach, so he's pretty much going to be head assistant. He's also the son of Lon Kruger, former Illinois head coach. He's more known for what he did at Oklahoma, but we at Illinois love him. He's there from 1996 to 2000. I wasn't alive for that, but always heard great things about Lon Kruger. Also, the other basketball news coming in is that Tennessee will be facing our Illini on December 6th. That was announced today as part of a neutral deal that they're doing. So one neutral game. They're playing this one in Nashville at Bridgestone Arena. So that's right on Broadway. That's the home of the Nashville Predators. So yeah, I mean, it's neutral. It's not at Tennessee. It's not super neutral. But the fact that they're doing a neutral makes me think of, Illinois probably play a game in, Milwaukee. Hopefully Chicago is what I would hope for. I would love to see them at the United Center. I know Indiana's playing a game at the United Center this upcoming season against Marquette. I definitely want to get to that. But hopefully the Illini go back to playing at the United Center. I mean, I used to go when they did play at the United Center. That's all just speculation. But we do know that there is going to be a neutral game that will be a little closer to home for Illinois since this one's in Nashville for Tennessee. Well, that's pretty cool. I mean, they played Tennessee last year in Champaign, and they only lost by 1, and that's when Tennessee was ranked best in the country. They're still going to be a great team. So that'll definitely be a good matchup. Illinois is going to have a really tough out-of-conference schedule to start the year. And that's really going to be tough on some of these young guys that are coming in. They're going to have a young team. So we'll see how that goes, but definitely exciting. December 6th in Nashville. That'll be a big game for both squads, especially for Illini. Moving on now to our first real topic of the night. We're talking College Football 26, the second installment of EA's rebirth of the college football games, is going to be releasing tomorrow. If you had early access, that started on Monday. So today is the third and final day of that 3-day early access for pre-orders. You could get it bundled with Madden. I don't think Madden comes out till next month. But yeah, it's coming out tomorrow. Pretty crazy. Illinois' ratings pretty good, as you would imagine after the season they had last year. Their overall rating is an 82. This is all from CFBratings.com. There shouldn't be any discrepancy, but just in case, that's where I pulled this from. So they're 25th overall in the entire country. Crazy. Top 25 right out of the gate in terms of overall rating. Really exciting stuff. They are 6th in the Big Ten, though. I don't know how I feel about that. Crazy at the Big Ten is 6 teams in the top 25. Ohio State is ranked 3rd at 88 overall. Penn State is 4th, also 88 overall. Oregon is 9th, 86 overall. Then you got Michigan at 15, 85 overall. Indiana 18th at 85 overall as well. Now that I take a look at those teams, I do think that's fair. I mean, OSU, PSU, Oregon, there's no doubt that those teams are going to be better than Illinois, right? I'm not surprised about that. Michigan and Indiana are a little interesting, but Michigan really reloaded this offseason. So I think that's fair. I don't know if 85 is proper rating, but I still do think they should at least be higher than that 82 that Illinois has got. They may be like an 83, 84. It's hard to tell because they got a freshman quarterback coming in. So yeah, I guess that's fair. At first when I saw that, I was a little but they have had a really good offseason. So I'll give them that, right? Because Illinois hasn't made a lot of changes to their actual starting rotation. And Indiana, again, I still believe that Illinois can win that game at Indiana, that Illinois is the better team, right? And Indiana just didn't really play anybody. But you got to give them credit, and it would be really hard to rank Illinois ahead of Indiana as well from the perspective from a neutral perspective, right? Like looking at a team that made the playoff last year, there's not really a question because Indiana has a lot of returning players as well. So yeah, I guess that's fair. A 6th in the Big Ten doesn't sound great, but 25th overall is pretty great. It's just the Big Ten is just stacked. That's how it is. Their offense is at 85. They are not top 25 in offense, unfortunately. Defense, they are 86. How did these ratings? How are they? See, I don't understand how Illinois is 82 overall. Their offense is 85 and their defense is 86. That doesn't make sense to me how you get that average. But if someone knows more about how they actually do these ratings, please let me know. A genuine question. I'm not trying to hate or anything. I'm genuinely curious how they determine that. So that defense at 86 though is 18th overall. So really, ratings guys are really loving their defense. And then special teams is an 83. So there's not much to say there. Maybe their prestige ranking is what is bringing them down a little bit. I think they don't have a bad prestige ranking. Prestige, for those of you who don't know, is it's out of 5 stars. It's basically ranking the school's reputation and then kind of where they're at now. It's a combination of a few different things. So Illinois has a 3.5 out of 5. So it's slightly above average. Average would be a 3. So decent rotation or decent reputation. They do have a decent rotation, but not the word I was looking for. Decent reputation, but so for example, Alabama, right, is usually the first team that people think of when they think of college football and a prestigious program. So they're a 5 out of 5, right? So on that scale, Illinois is at 3.5, which is just above average. Maybe that's what's bringing them down, but I don't think I should necessarily bring them down. I think a rating like that shouldn't really help them or hurt them. Someone please let me know why we're 82 overall if all three of our stats are higher than that and our prestige is like average. The highest rated players. I'm going to give you all a top 15 because there are 16 players that are above 80 overall, which is very good. There are 3 that are above 90 as well, including Gabe Yakus, who is the 44th overall ranked player in the entire game at 92 overall. How about that? He's got 95 awareness. He's got 97 injury. That means like avoiding injuries. And then he's got 95 stamina, 93 strength. Really good stuff. We got 290 overalls as well to round it out. We got Xavier Scott in the secondary. 93 acceleration, 93 stamina, 92 injury with a notable stats on him. And then left tackle J.C. Davis has also cracked the 90s at a 90 overall, 97 awareness, 93 strength, 91 stamina, 93 injury. The rest of them I'm not going to go into full. Like, you don't need to hear me say that for 15 guys. But just for those 90s, I want to especially shout out those stats that are really up there, especially like those 97s, man. Awesome. 4th is Luke Altmaier. He's 89 overall. 5th, Matthew Bailey at 88. 6th is Aiden Lawfrey at 86. I really like to see that rating. I think that's a really good rating for him. I'm just kind of surprised that the ratings guys, there's probably an official term for it, but I don't know their actual like position. I'm surprised the ratings guys like gave him that rating though, just because he didn't play as much as he wasn't like a true starter, right? They definitely had a timeshare going on there with him and McCray last year. So I'm really good to see him at 86 though. I think that's fair personally because he did great when he was on the field. 7th is center Josh Kreutz. He's 85. Then we got Torrey Cox. He's an 85 as well. 9th is Caden Fagan coming in at 84. Like to see that after missing last year with injury. Then you got Josh Getsky at left guard, 84. 11th is Miles Scott. He's an 83. Hudson Clement comes in number 12 at 82. So that's pretty nice to see one of our key transfers who's going to get a lot of playing time up there in the top 15. Then Dylan Roysick is going to be 82 overall as well. He's 13th. And then we got a couple 80s to round it out. You got Tanner Arkin, 14th. Melvin Priestley is 15th at right tackle. And then Tomiya Duroyaije is the other 80. So that's 16 players, again, cracking 80 or above. Really like to see that. And then, 3 at 90. I mean, Illinois' ratings are just through the roof compared to what they were last year. Even their offense, which, again, I have as an 85. I feel like that's got to be incorrect if they're 82 overall. But they were 75 in last year's game on offense. So just so much improvement all around. Seeing the offense jump like that after losing Zachary Franklin and Pat Bryant, crazy. I mean, it just shows how deep this roster is. But, I mean, especially when you're looking at the top 15 players and their rankings, it's mostly the offensive line and the secondary that are definitely have the most depth and star power there. I mean, there's guys sprinkled in from other positions too. I mean, running backs. I mean, we have 2 running backs are in the top 10 on this roster. That's very good to see as well. You like to see Altmaier get an 89. I mean, damn, that's good. I mean, again, his experience is what makes him such an X factor, as it does for most of these players. Love to see Gabe Yakus at a 92. Definitely flirting with a first round pick there. I mentioned this earlier, but I'm really excited to see Hudson Clement on that list as well. At 82 overall, he is their top receiver on that roster, which is not surprising, but it's just good to see him up there, right? Because he's kind of a wild card compared to all these other guys. Like literally, all these other guys were on the team last year, so good to see them all get a ratings boost. Pretty much all of them. I mean, the whole roster is ranked a lot higher than they were at the start of last year. Love to see it. Anyway, it's time to talk about Purdue for these back 15 minutes here. Purdue will be coming off a bye week when these teams meet the first weekend of October. I believe that is October 4th. I didn't write it down exactly, but that should be how the math works out if their first game before that is on the 27th. So yeah, October 4th. They'll be coming off a bye, but the week before that bye, so on the 20th, when Illinois is at Indiana, Purdue's going to be at Notre Dame. They play Notre Dame every year as part of a rivalry. So they'll probably get smoked by Notre Dame, but then they have to sit on that for like 2 weeks. So I don't love that, right? I like pointing out USC's travel schedule last week is definitely something that kind of helps sway my mind from USC to Illinois for this game. This one can be kind of seen as a trap game as well, right? You're getting this in the middle of definitely the hardest part of the schedule with Indiana, USC, and then Ohio State the following week. And this is the kind of a random road game kind of thrown in there. So it definitely susceptible to trap game potential. But I mean, hey, we'll see, man. We're going to get into the roster tonight. All time versus Purdue. The Illini are 46, 48, and 6. That is exactly 100 games they have played against Purdue. So this will be meeting number 101 in October. At Purdue, they are 23, 24, and 4. At home against Purdue, they are also 23 and 24, just with only 2 ties. Pretty crazy to have the exact same record, just with some extra ties at Purdue versus home at Purdue. It's been a very, very even history between these two teams through 100 games. As again, Illinois has won 46. They've won 48. Their last meeting came last year. They play every year. And that was that wild 50-49 overtime win that just was absolutely, even though Illinois won, like, oh my God, what a nightmare. Just that flash before our eyes watching/following that game. Those are the kind of games that make you look at Illinois' schedule and be like, could be a trap game, could be a trap game, could be a trap game. Because that's absolutely what that game was. It was definitely a really random, okay, little tune-up opponent here. Purdue didn't win a game in the Big Ten all year. That was the closest they got to it. It was in Champaign. That's still a little embarrassing. I'm personally hoping that is going to light a fire under these guys, right? And that even though this is coming the week before Ohio State and right after Indiana, USC, that they're not going to overlook this game, right? Even if they beat Indiana and USC and they're undefeated, they're 5-0, right? And they just can't wait to face Ohio State the next week in front of the home crowd. It's going to be an orange out for that game. It's going to be exciting no matter what, especially if they're 6-0 for that game. So, I mean, there's definitely potential for them to overlook this game, but that last meeting last year is exactly what I think is going to motivate this team to show up, play their hardest, just put Purdue in the ground, man. Don't play with our food like we did last year. 50-49 is ridiculous. But they did escape it. And that is the most important thing. At the end of the day, it was ugly, but they won. Their last win in West Lafayette, so at Purdue, since that's where they're going, was the year before then. They lost that one pretty bad, actually, 44-19. That was not great. Their last win they had in West Lafayette was on October 26th back in 2019. So they haven't won there yet this decade, although this year certainly looks like their best chance yet. They're 24-6. And their first meeting dates all the way back to 1890 on November 22nd. Purdue defeated Illinois 62-0 in West Lafayette. In 1890, 62 points in 1890. I guess people are still trying to figure out how the game of football works. Like, those spectators had to have their minds blown. They were like, what the heck is going on? Everything they do. scores points. 62 points is crazy now. I can't imagine that 135 years ago when the game is like essentially being born. Dang, what were we doing back then to give up 62 points? Was a forward pass even invented? How did they score 62? Well, I'm not going to harp on it. It's 135 years ago. I can get over it. Purdue's recent history. I had trouble actually accessing their schedule page earlier today when I was trying to pull up like their past seasons to look at not just their record, but like specifically the opponents and kind of how bad they're getting beat or how much they were winning by in some of those earlier years. But I couldn't access the schedule page through the website. I couldn't click it. I could click everything else, but my cursor wouldn't like light up on the schedule. Like it wasn't something I could click. It was just text. I had to back out and search Purdue schedule and then go to that page directly through my search. So come on, Purdue, fix your website. What's going on with that? But anyway, it wasn't really that much of a hassle. I just wanted to mention that so someone can get on that. 2024 Purdue was really freaking bad. They were 1-11, didn't win in a game in the Big Ten. They were 0-9, and they were a whopping 1-5 at home. I mean, they could either be winless or one win at home with the 1-11 record. But yeah, 1-5 at home. That win actually came week 1 as well. So they're currently on an 11-game losing streak. They beat Indiana State 49-0. And then didn't even sniff a win again until that Illinois game and still didn't get it. They gave up 50 points to Illinois. That was one of only 4 times that they gave up 50 or more points in a game last season. 2 of those were over 60. They got smacked. And they lost like 66-0, something like that. Maybe it wasn't nothing, but I know Indiana had like 66. When they played at Indiana last game of the year. It was absolutely brutal. They were also shut out 3 times. Nothing was going right for this team. They couldn't score. They couldn't stop people from scoring. The only time they could score was against Indiana State and then against Illinois when they dropped 49 in both those games. And they still only won one of those games. Just a really awful all-around team, which is led to a lot of changes in the Purdue roster coming this season. 2023, they were bad. They weren't quite as bad because they were decent at home at least. They were 4-8 and 3-6 in the Big Ten, but they were 3-4 at home. And they beat their wins were Virginia Tech was their one out-of-conference win, and then Illinois was one of their Big Ten wins, along with Minnesota and then Indiana, because Indiana was bad in 23. They were losing to Purdue. 2022, though, they were actually decent. I mean, they had a decent run before these last 2 years with a bad 23 and just absolute nightmare 2024. But in 22, they were 8-6. They actually got in 14 games, 6-3 in the Big Ten, 4-2 at home. And they beat Illinois that year as well, 31-24. That was in Champaign because they made the Big Ten championship, but they lost to Michigan. 43-22 would eventually become the national champions. And then they made the Cheez-It Bowl. How about that? But they couldn't crack it like Illinois could in the Cheez-It Bowl. They got absolutely rocked by LSU 63-7. Good Lord. 2021, they were 9-4, even better. They were 6-3, 4-2 at home. They beat Illinois again, 13-9. Recent history has not been kind to Illinois versus Purdue. Then they beat Tennessee in a wild game in the Trans-Perfect Music City Bowl, 48-45. It's basically a home game for Tennessee. It's kind of like the basketball game we were talking about earlier this episode, where Illinois is playing Tennessee in Nashville. I'm pretty sure that Music City is Nashville. Correct me if I'm wrong, but that bowl takes place at the Titans Stadium. So a really cool win for Purdue. Good job, guys. Where is that now? And then 2020, that's as far as we're going to go back. They're 2-4 in the shortened season. Couldn't really crack it in the shortened season. They did start 2-0, but then they couldn't make it happen. But you always got to take those 2020 records with a grain of salt. This team was really good in 21 and 22. This team was really, really bad in 23 and then just god awful in 24. But there's a lot of change going on in Purdue, though. I do think this will be a slightly better Purdue team. In college football, since we talked about Illinois' ratings earlier, might as well talk about Purdue's now that we're trying to evaluate them. They're a 74 overall, so not super daunting. 71 on offense, 72 on defense. See, now their offense and defense are both less than their overall ratings. So how is theirs more and Illinois is less? Someone, please. If no one's gonna comment on the live, someone please who watches his back or watches either of the videos, explain that to me. Explain how the overall rating is determined. They have 5 players above 80, which is a lot less than Illinois 16. None of them are above 85, though. Illinois, quite a few over 85. Their coach, this is going to be the biggest wild card, honestly, because I don't know how their system's going to look. I mean, the guess is pretty pass heavy based on Barry Odom, the new Purdue head coach's past. But, you don't know what he's going to do with the players he has. Bigger program than he's used to coaching. So, or I guess not, actually. Look at his history. Sorry, I'm really tired today. It's a long day. So he's entering his first year after Ryan Walters was let go after last year's train wreck. Odom has been the head coach at Missouri from 2016 to 2019. He also played there as a linebacker from 96 until 99. And then most recently, he was the head coach at UNLV the last 2 seasons, 23 and 24. Had a decent UNLV team, even with all the drama with their quarterback transferring, demanding more money, all that stuff. Still got him to a decent record. Overall, as a head coach in his 5 seasons, that is, between Mizzou and UNLV, he's 44 and 33, so winning record. He's 0-3 in bowl games, though. But I'd be pretty surprised if Purdue could reach a bowl game this year, so shouldn't have to worry about that. Their top players, and this is still going to be based off CFB 26, since we were talking about it earlier, and it's just on my mind, comes out tomorrow. So you got CJ Nanali, I hope I said that right, the 4th. He's a transfer from Akron, and he is actually their highest rated player at 84 overall. He is going to be number 91. They have him listed as a right end. And then you got Devin Makobi, the running back, 84 overall as well, wearing number 45. Then you got Tony Grimes. He is a UNLV transfer coming along with his head coach. He's at corner. He's 82 overall. He's going to wear number 0. You got running back Malachi Thomas, another running back at 81, so decent running back room for him. Not rated as well as the Illinois running backs are, but pretty good. He's going to be 24. And then you got left tackle Jalen St. John. He's another UNLV transfer. He is going to be the top guy on their O-line. He is an 81 overall. Those are the only players that crack the 80s, though. And highest is 284s. They also kind of have a battle at the QB position. They got some interesting transfers coming in. A lot of guys left Purdue, a lot of guys coming to Purdue. So it's really hard to compare this Purdue team to last year's between having a new head coach and having a very new roster overall. I mean, 3 of those top 5 guys are transfers already that we talked about. And at QB, it's kind of hard to pinpoint right now. They got Malachi Singleton transferring in from Arkansas. And you got E.J. Colson transferring back from UCF. He actually was on Purdue and then transferred to UCF, and now has transferred back to Purdue. So it's really been those 2 pretty big name transfers, honestly, competing for that starting quarterback job out in West Lafayette. I would predict it would be Singleton because Arkansas. But you don't know, actually. I mean, Colson has played at Purdue before, so they definitely might go with him. That's probably what I would do, honestly. But I would think they would go with Singleton just because he's coming from Arkansas. But that's hard to compare. UCF's a much better program. Like, they have a much better reputation now. Still not quite SEC, but like, they're not like when they were undefeated, everyone's like, well, who cares? You didn't play anybody. That's not what they do anymore. They play people. But their secondary especially got ripped apart by the transfer portal. Dylan Thieneman was their top guy. He was one of 10 DBs that transferred out. They got 6 back, though, from the transfer portal. Their receiver room will be interesting as well. They had 5 guys transfer out, and they had 5 guys transfer in. So they literally just whole new wide receiver room. So they're not really going to have an advantage over Illinois in that department, since that is one of Illinois' weaker spots on their roster right now, just because of the uncertainty. But UCF, they got Chauncey Magwood, which is a reason to think that EJ Colson might start, since one of his receivers came with them. You got Charles Ross coming from USC as well. Overall, though, on paper, on every metric, this Illinois team is much better. The only way Purdue could beat them is if Illinois just completely overlooks this game, right? It definitely has road game, trap game potential. Just not great. But I'm over time already. So thank you so much for tonight's episode, guys. Thanks for listening in. I appreciate it. I appreciate all the support and views we got from last week's videos. Let's keep running up those views. Next week, we're going to talk about Ohio State. I'm sure that is going to bring us a lot of viewers talking about them. Yeah, man, we'll be doing that preview. Can't wait to see you guys next week for episode 20. Yeah, man. Thanks for joining me tonight. ILL.